Good Morning Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. Across from me is Mr. Charles Chuck Thompson, coming at you late on a Tuesday this afternoon. Good afternoon, Liberty, in a hot, sweltering, disgusting day here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Climate change is heating up.
I know, man. And you know, the EPA is trying to create even more climate change right now. That's one of the things we're going to talk about.
That's because Trump is in charge.
These corporations, man, these corporations, they just want them to kill everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we got a few stories in the stack today. We'll do a little bit of the news on the gunman killed 4 people in New York City yesterday. See all kinds of speculation online about what the real story is and what the narrative is currently on it. If you've listened to any shows today, you've already heard like all the regular details about it. We'll just brush over a few things just because we should. And then Lee Zeldin, EPA administrator, he announced today that they're going to try and repeal a major Obama-era rule, which has led to tons of other climate regulations. He's calling it the biggest deregulatory move in U.S. history. If they're able to do that. Josh Hawley officially introduced his $600 tariff rebate law. So that's been introduced.
Perfect.
When he gives $600 out for everyone.
I did see some folks talking on Twitter, like what kind of gun they're going to buy with that.
Yeah.
$200-$300 guns, maybe use a $600 towards a $1,200 gun.
Yeah. $600 to get you a decent amount of the way there towards a decent AR-15. I don't know what
you can buy a good pistol for $600.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah,
Hawley, we appreciate it.
A tax gun.
On top of that, the other things that we're just probably not going to get to, but I am paying attention to right now. I guess before we get going, I could mention government sources. I've seen this reported on multiple outlets right now, saying that there was no missing minute in that Epstein video, that the footage that they have has got the whole thing. There's no such thing as a missing minute. And for some reason, the one that they released out to the public had the missing minute in it. And for whatever reason, Pam Bondi said that all of the jail videos had a missing minute in them and from that prison. But apparently, according to CBS and Daily Beast and some other news outlets right now, there's no such thing. Something just went wrong, I guess. Further, not having any more time, we could play some of the ridiculous Sydney Sweeney stuff, but we don't have time for that today, unless you want to. We could could be fun.
We'll see what we get to.
Could be fun. All right, gunman who killed 4 in New York was trying to get to NFL offices and claimed to have CTE. And so that's apparently they found a note on him. A gunman who killed 4 people at a Manhattan office building before killing himself claimed in a note to have a brain disease linked to contact sports and was trying to target the NFL's headquarters, but took the wrong elevator. Officials said Tuesday. He ended up on the 33rd floor of the building. Investigators believe Shane Tamura, Las Vegas casino worker, was trying to get up to the NFL offices after shooting several people in the skyscraper's lobby on Monday, but entered the wrong elevator. Mayor Eric Adams said in interviews 4 people were killed, including an off-duty New York City police officer. So the motive looks to be that he thinks he has CTE. He's got a history of mental illness after playing high school football nearly 20 years ago in California. Never played in the NFL, but said he has a history of mental illness. A 3-page handwritten note found in his wallet. He claimed he suffered from CTE and accused the NFL of concealing the dangers to players' brains for profit. The degenerative brain disease has been linked to concussions and other repeated head trauma in contact sports such as football, but it can only be diagnosed after someone has died. And I believe on the note, I saw a picture of the note. He basically said he wants them to study his brain. I didn't realize that there's like a CTE truther crowd out there, because when I went to the New York Post about this on X, they were like, CTE isn't real. That's just something they made up. And it was actually the government doing experiments on people, which caused people to lose their minds and do some of these crazy things, and that they made up CTE in order to hide the fact that it's actually CIA experiments gone wrong. So just in case you guys were wondering,
Yeah.
If those people,
If you were a conspiracy theorist,
yeah.
you could go down that rabbit hole.
T-Dub says he has a theory his brain is actually flat.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to get inside there and look out.
Look, CTE it's real. It's a real thing.
Seems like a real thing to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to upset anyone, but it seems like I've wondered, honestly, if musicians could get it. Because I don't know if you guys ever play music, but if you play heavy music or just any kind of rock, you end up really throwing your head around. And I know you're not running into another person or anything, but it's almost like banging your head up against a wall all night for like an hour. And, some of these rock stars, they end up, committing suicide, doing stuff like that, have addiction issues. That just kind of comes with the territory. But I've always wondered, like, if you headbang for an hour every single night for months on end, any chance you're doing brain damage to yourself? I've done it pretty hard before.
Yeah.
I know you have too. So,
Yeah.
terrible story. Phil,
If you're watching the video, we might be twitching a little.
Yeah, sorry. Obviously, terrible story. Feel terrible for all the people who were killed, minus the gunman. We're against death here on this show. If any more important information comes out, I did want to give a nice a praise report here. I was watching the news with my wife last night with Lacey, and we were watching Fox News, and they were talking about this shooting. And she goes, "This stuff is just so annoying to me." She was letting me know that she wanted to watch something else. But she was like, "This is so annoying to me. Like, they have no information. No one knows what the heck they're talking about. They're all they have different person coming on here every 5 minutes to speculate wildly about things. And then they just go to a prescription drug commercial and they come back and they just speculate about stuff. Like, why don't they just wait until they have information and then come out and do the news and tell you what the information is?"
That's not nearly as fun.
I know. I was like, boom, that's right. That's why we're still married.
By the way, it says here the NFL long denied the link between football and CTE, but acknowledged the connection in 2016 testimony before Congress. And because of that, they've paid more than $1.4 billion to retired players to settle concussion-related claims.
Yeah. Now, that 2016 acknowledgement from them, apparently, according to this news article, the guy played high school football 20 years ago, so 2005. And I guess, I don't know how long they might have been trying to cover up this connection. I haven't seen that Will Smith movie in a long time. I don't know how long they were trying to cover up the connection, but he might be saying that, I guess, if it was more well-known at that time, he wouldn't have this CTE. I don't know.
It's also so frustrating, though. It's like you want to blame everyone else for decisions that you made.
Well,
I mean, look, football is a contact sport.
Yeah.
You're going to hit your head.
Yeah.
And we know through sheer basic biology and science that you take in 7th and 8th grade that hitting your head against things, not good for it.
It does seem like, just sort of rationally thinking about it, that hitting your head up against another person or other stuff repeatedly for years and years could do some damage. I don't know.
Whether it's CTE or not, it doesn't matter.
I don't.
And my thing is, you should understand the risks. I'm not, I understand the NFL may have tried to cover it up, but
they did. They made a whole movie about it. It was boring as hell, but
yeah,
the
NFL, obviously they want to protect their business interests. And so,
yeah,
if it were me, I'd come out and be like, hey, it's possible. You know, you're hitting your head against each other. This is a risk you take. Everyone seems to like it. Mm-hmm. Back in Rome, there was a risk of death if you participated in the gladiator games. But the crowd sure seemed to show up and cheer that on. So,
well, I don't know. I think it's all the NFL's fault. Okay, next story. Well, if any other important information comes out from that, of course, we're going to have some dumb bleeps from that story for Friday's episode. I just didn't want to go through all of them today. There is a nice clip going around of CNN speculating that the guy might be white. After like a clear photo of him being anything but white, like white was like the main option that he wasn't, according to the photo. Plenty of really stupid calls for gun control after this. And so we'll have plenty of things to go through on Friday's Dumb Bleep episode with this shooting. The good news.
Let me correct myself real quick because the Fed Haters Club is on me about it. Most gladiators were slaves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, there was an emperor who did participate in the gladiator games and died, so he wasn't a slave. So most of them were slaves.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is true. I'm not trying to compare. Well, I guess the NFL, they're slaves too. A bunch of white owners.
Yeah, see, that's the problem.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I stand semi-corrected.
It's all about the exploitation of millionaires. So
Yeah.
let's see. The Trump EPA moves to repeal finding that allows climate regulation. This could actually be a pretty big deal. Donald Trump's administration on Tuesday proposed revoking a scientific finding that has long been a central basis for U.S. action to regulate greenhouse gas emissions and fight climate change. The proposed EPA rule would rescind a 2009 declaration. See, I guess a rule trumps a declaration that determined that carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases endanger public health and welfare. This is known as the endangerment finding. It's the legal underpinning of a host of climate regulations under the Clean Air Act for motor vehicles, power plants, and other pollution sources that are heating the planet.
This is a joke, right?
I do have a, what do you mean?
This a joke?
What's a joke?
That the endangerment finding is the legal underpinning?
Yeah, they
It's
basically
just an EPA rule?
they declared in 2009 that carbon dioxide was creating climate change, and climate change was harming people. And they've used what's called the endangerment finding from the EPA to build tons of regulations and laws, and like most of the regulations you've seen come out since the Obama administration.
This declaration was just like a proclamation.
They declared it. Yeah.
They just
Well,
said
it's backed by some scientists. Yeah, some scientists. Here's a video of Lee Zeldin talking about this. Yeah, don't you hear that? That's good. Let me make sure I've even got that. Gosh, dang it. Hopefully I don't screw this up right now.
got to get the sound.
Yeah.
Administration 2009 was that they put forward this regulation called the endangerment finding. Now, a lot of people are out there listening. They might not know what the endangerment finding is. If you were asked congressional Democrats to describe what it is, the left would say that it means that carbon dioxide is a pollutant. Carbon dioxide is an endangerment to human health. They might say methane is a pollutant. Methane is an endangerment to human health. And that's an oversimplified, I would say, inaccurate way to describe it. The way they did this was following a Supreme Court case in Massachusetts versus EPA. And the Obama administration said that carbon dioxide, when mixed with a bunch of other well-mixed gases, the greenhouse gases, that it contributes to climate change. How much, they don't say. It's more than zero. And they say that climate change endangers human health. So because of these different mental leaps, and by the way, when it's carbon dioxide mixed with all these well-mixed gases, they were only looking at mobile sources like vehicles, but a bunch of those greenhouse gases aren't even emitted from vehicles. Now, why does all this matter? Like right out of the gate here, we're getting very wonky on like what this regulation means. Well, then there were all sorts of different vehicle regulations that followed.
So this is like the endangerment finding in and of itself is the hub to the spoke of the left's environmental agenda, essentially.
So this has been referred to as basically driving a dagger into the heart of the climate change religion. Like there are people who care. I mean, most Americans, we care about the environment. We want clean air, land, and water. Conservatives love the environment, want to be good stewards of the environment. There are people who then, in the name of climate change, are willing to bankrupt the country. In the name of environmental justice, they will get tens of billions of dollars appropriated to their friends rather than actually remediating environmental issues. So they created this endangerment finding, and then they're able to put all these regulations on vehicles, on airplanes, on stationary sources to basically regulate out of existence, in many cases, a lot of forms of segments of our economy. And it costs Americans a lot of money. What's the significance? How big is the endangerment finding? Well, repealing it will be the largest deregulatory action in the history of America.
Well, that sounds pretty good.
I'm back on Team Trump.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't have any problems with that. Listen, as we all know, regulations cost all of us a ton of money. Think about all the regulations that come like downstream from this kind of finding from the EPA, like all the mileage regulations that come, the clean emissions standards that come on our cars. All those things make the cars more expensive too at the same time. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of regulations that are built on this 2009 declaration from the Obama administration. It's not just super easy for them to do this. They do have to go through a lengthy review process, including public comment.
And
Before it's finalized, environmental groups are likely to challenge the rule change in court. And I'll go ahead and predict right now that a federal district judge has ruled that they cannot overrule this 2009 endangerment finding, and then we'll see what the Supreme Court says.
And one of the important things he said there is that this rule allowed them to basically move tens of billions of dollars or even hundreds of billions of dollars to their friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the whole purpose of this. It has nothing to do with the environment. As Bailey said in the Fed Haters Club, which you can go to by going to joingmail.com, add your comments that could get mentioned on the show. Too much oxygen is a detriment to human health. That's true.
Yeah.
Carbon is, by the way, a necessary greenhouse gas for plants.
It's very necessary.
It's what they smoke.
Yeah, they need it. Yeah.
They smoke CO2, man.
They are on it.
And it's important for farming. It's important
like
for
food.
It's
like
important
for us to have food.
Food
It's
and forests.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And lots of animals depend on those types of things going right. This isn't to say that humans don't have some sort of effect. It's very possible that taking carbon out of the ground in the form of oil or coal or something like that and putting it in the air could have some effect, but that doesn't mean that we should bankrupt our entire country / create slush funds for our buddies so they get to profit off of something that is not necessary to the American economy or necessary to, quote unquote, save the planet.
I got another good thing here for you before we switch over to Josh Hawley's $600 rebate he wants to send out, STEMI rebate check he wants to send out to everyone. This article, Doge still exists, by the way, is building an AI tool to try and cut 50% of federal regulations. So the U.S. Doge service is using a new AI tool to slash federal regulations with the goal of eliminating half of Washington's regulatory mandates by the first anniversary of Trump's inauguration, according to documents obtained by the Washington Post and forward government officials familiar with the plans.
I'm so tired of being hopeful. You know?
There are still like good things that could happen. I mean,
yeah, but let's just
deregulation is super important.
Let's read this with a grain of salt. The fact that we're going to,
of course,
the fact that we're going to reduce, 200,000 federal regulations by the time January 19th, 2026 rolls around.
Yeah,
or 17th, 19th, whatever day it is.
You just hit that button up there, top says select all, and you hit delete after that.
Sorry, 100,000.
Yeah, 100,000
of the 200,000.
The tool called the Doge AI Deregulation Decision Tool. That's too many. That's too much. The DOGE AI DDT is supposed to analyze roughly 200,000 federal regulations to determine which can be eliminated because they're no longer required by law, according to a PowerPoint presentation obtained by the Post that's dated July 1st and outlines Doge's plans. Roughly 100,000 of those rules would be deemed worthy of trimming. The PowerPoint estimates. They're telling us that we got 100,000 regulations that are not required by law. We just did it for fun, because the people in the administration decided they wanted to write laws. Mm-hmm. The people in the administrative state that we didn't vote for, by the way, that they decided they wanted to write laws that cost us money, that take our money, that make things more expensive, make everything more expensive. And I'm sure 100,000 of them, that'd be fine. Virginia is doing the same thing, by the way. This is an article from a few days ago. They're using an AI tool to identify illegal and redundant regulations, and this is something that they're actually doing right now. Governor Youngkin, let's see, they're trying to reduce by at least 25% the number of regulations not mandated by federal or state statute. So, hey, there could be some good uses for AI.
This could be a white pill if it comes to fruition.
Could be a white pill. I just like that they're trying this stuff, Yeah. I think that's pretty cool.
I do really appreciate Big Gus in the Fed Haters Club saying Doge, dip, duck, dive, and Doge.
That's what you do.
That's the 5 rules
That's what it is.
Of Doge cuts.
Yeah. So now let's talk about tariffs. If you're evil, dark MAGA, and you're still here, you could get upset. But let's see, because we're going to talk about tariffs. We're going to talk about Josh Hawley real quick. But when we talk about tariffs, you might get upset. Senator Josh Hawley introduces a bill to send tariff rebate checks to Americans. I don't know what could go wrong. Honestly, I can't think of a single bad thing about this.
Nope.
Republican Senator Josh Hawley introduced legislation Monday to provide tariff rebate checks of at least $600 per adult and child to American families, similar to the STEMI checks the government distributed during the COVID pandemic. Now, if you're Josh Hawley, you would not want that to be compared to the STEMI checks that went out during the COVID pandemic, because we could all widely agree that those sent inflation spiraling up to 9.1%, and the real number was much higher than that. We all know that. Hawley from Missouri submitted his legislation after having pledged to do so Friday, after Donald Trump told reporters he'd be interested in sending a tariff-related rebate check to Americans. He says, like President Trump proposed, my legislation would allow hardworking Americans to benefit from the wealth that Trump's tariffs are returning to this country, which is where we will stop and think for a second. He says, like President Trump, my legislation would allow hardworking Americans to benefit from the wealth that Trump's tariffs are returning to this country. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem is, it's a whole lot of people who think that other countries pay the tariffs, and that they still think, and they're still saying this. They're still saying it over and over again.
People online saying this.
Everyone
in our
says
YouTube
this.
comments.
Everyone says this. Yeah, like that one I saw. Was it YouTube where the guy was like, "You guys need to do your research before before making fools of yourselves." Mm-hmm. Like the tariffs are paid by other countries. Yeah. Listen, is there nuance to saying that we pay the tariffs, not the other countries? Of course, there's a little bit of nuance there, because there's deal making here between businesses. We have to start off, though, with the fact of the matter is the tariff is charged to the importing entity, not the exporting entity, which is the other country. The tariffs are charged to the company that is importing the product in America. That company actually is the one who's got to write the check to the government. Now, where does that come from? Probably from a lot of different places. It could come from us, could come a little bit out of their side, and it could come a little bit from the people in the other country lowering their prices down just a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, the company in this country is the one that writes the check to the federal government for the tariff. So the money comes directly from them. So then your question is, where do they get that money from that they are using to pay the government?
From the other country.
Yeah, they get the product, and you look inside the product, and there's just stacks of bills in there, $100 bills in there that they use to pay
a few
tariff.
hundred for the big man.
Now, of course, there's a reason that other countries don't like it when you put tariffs on their products. Like, why would they get upset, Charlie? If we pay the tariff, well, why does the other country get upset when we put a tariff on them? Because those importers decide, it affects their decision, maybe they're going to buy less stuff from that country. And so that country doesn't like it when we put a tariff on them. That's why they get so upset. It's not exactly that they're going to have to pay it, but they're either going to get less business, or they'll get the same business if they're just super competitive, or they're the only supplier of their product. Or maybe they'll get a little bit less money because they had to decrease their prices in order to offset what the person who's buying from them is having to pay when they buy it. Now, what determines who is actually paying that tariff is really just how many suppliers of that product are there.
Well, first you have to ask yourself, where do they collect the tariff?
Here.
Yeah, it's a custom duty.
It's customs collects the tariff.
At the ports in America.
Yeah.
Okay. So the companies that are importing those products, they're the ones that pay the custom duty.
I mean, there seem to actually be people
You don't send a tax bill to China.
There seem to actually be people that think that they have to pay a tax to America, that like the UK has to send a tax bill, has to send a tax check to the United States Treasury, and that's where they get the tariff money. It's not. It's from the company that's bringing it in. But like I said, there's several different ways that you can try and determine who's going to pay that. We're going to pay some of it for sure. The importing company might end up paying some of it if they need to try and stay competitive. And the country that is exporting that good to us could decide to lower their prices a little bit, which would cost them money, and in effect is them sort of paying some of the tariff. All right. But this the reason we're talking about this right now is because this idea, it clouds all of the other decisions that people make. It clouds their ideas that they have when people talk about what are we going to do with this tariff money, that Trump has returned this wealth back to the United States. The money came from the United States. That's where it came from. All right. I got a tweet here from this guy, Bill Mitchell, who's ridiculous, by the way. But anyway, he says, so do I have this straight? The EU will pay us a 15% tariff on exports to the U.S. while charging us 0% tariffs on U.S. goods sold there and promising to buy hundreds of billions in U.S. energy and arms. No, you don't have that straight. The EU is not going to pay us a 15% tariff. We are charging the company that imports from the EU a 15% tax when they import it from the EU. It's very easy. We also found out today that July tariff revenues have broken a monthly record. We got $150 billion collected so far in 2025.
That's to support the $600 checks coming out.
Yeah, $28 billion in July came in. We had $27 billion in June, so moved up another $1 billion. And now people still think that we're just directly collecting this from the other countries. Some of it could come from them decreasing their prices in order to stay competitive. Some of it could be coming from the company that is importing it because they want to stay competitive. And some of it is coming from you. All of those things are true.
Basically, it's just an additional tax.
It literally is an additional tax.
Now,
I mean, it's not even basically a tax. It
is, yeah.
Literally an additional tax.
I would like to see them, instead of handing it out to Americans, let's just start to pay down the debt. So
there's so many ridiculous reasons, easy reasons to not do $600 per adult and per child. Number one, like Charlie just said, we got a massive debt. We got a massive deficit. We got massive interest payments that we're paying every year. Any amount of money that's coming in needs to be, first off, going towards closing our deficit so we can stop borrowing new money every year. So first off, we got to close that deficit by however much we possibly can. There's other reasons not to do $600 payments. What about inflation? Right now, like the tariffs have not caused the inflation that so many people talked about causing, us being some of those people too.
It has gone up a little.
Yeah. Now I could make an argument, first off, that we keep delaying the tariffs and delaying the tariffs, and maybe they're actually about to kick in this moment. And so maybe we'll actually see those prices happen. Maybe those price increases are going to be spread throughout several months. And so we're not just going to see a 15% jump, 1 month in prices. It's probably going to be spread throughout many months. And the one good thing about tariffs is that it's a one-time price change. So that's a good thing too. But one of the things that keeps the prices from going up is people's buying power. Like companies are always trying to get as much money as they possibly can. So what do we see during COVID? You give people a whole bunch of money and corporations end up increasing their prices essentially by the amount of money that you gave people to spend.
Because that's where the economy normalizes.
And so like right now, the thing holding down this massive increase in prices from the tariffs is the fact that the American people did not get a massive increase in their wages commensurate with the new price increases that the corporations might need to do. But as soon as you go and give a family of three $1,800 like we did with the American Rescue Plan or with the CARES Act or whatever, guess what's going to happen? Same thing we saw happen last time is what's going to happen. The other really stupid part about this that we talked about.
You'll see your monthly expenses go up about $150 to $200.
Yeah, roughly the amount of money that you get paid from the government.
Right in line.
Actually, it'll be probably just a little bit more than you get from the government. The other stupid part about this is that tariffs are supposed to increase the price of the goods that come from another country. All right. And so the incentive there is for you to say, well, I guess I'll just buy from this American company instead, because the price of this good from China, from the UK or whatever, it just got this much more expensive. And so I might as well buy this American-made product. And so what happens when the tariffs increase the price of those goods from overseas? Okay, you got that part of your incentive process starting. But then you take the portion of what came in from increasing those prices, and you just give it to people in the form of a rebate, well, then they say, well, I know that good got more expensive, but turns out I got this extra money, this extra rebate that just got given to me. And so I guess I'll still buy that product from overseas. I got a little bit of extra money right now.
What incentive does it give whatsoever?
I know it's not, it would be a small portion of the tariff money that comes in, but it does sort of do some funny stuff to the incentive process that tariffs are like. It's supposed to be a punishment for buying that stuff from overseas. You're supposed to make that stuff too expensive for people to buy. That's the whole idea here.
That's the argument a lot of people make.
Yeah. It's a punishment. You buy American, gall darn it. That stuff's too expensive. We made it too expensive via taxes, and now you need to buy the American-made product, and that's going to be good for American manufacturing. It's not as much of a punishment if you do it, and then you just give the money back to people over here. It's really dumb. Basically, we already did that on Dumb Bleep of the Week last Friday, but I just wanted to do it again because he officially introduced the legislation.
I also saw a meme. I don't know if it's that true, but it does make you think about this. So, for instance, like American-made cars, right? They have to import the steel and things like that from China, right? That they're paying, massive tariffs on. But with Japan, there's only a 15% tariff on Japan, so you could order a whole Toyota.
It's actually cheaper.
And it's cheaper than the American-made car.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because they're not using American steel to make the cars, or aluminum, or aluminum.
It is
whatever they say over there across the pond.
I got to try to remember where I saw that. But yeah, I saw the same thing, that if you look at the tariffs that Ford and GM are going to have to pay and how much it's going to increase the price of their inputs for their cars, it would actually be cheaper for people to buy Toyota or Hyundai or whatever it's going to be, Honda, whatever it's going to be, than it would be an American-made car.
I love Toyota.
Yeah, I love Honda.
So I've had a Toyota Tundra now for over 10 years now. Mm-hmm. Not the same one. I've had a couple different ones, but I hardly ever have a problem with them ever. They run so well. It's the smoothest ride you'll ever have in your life.
It's a nice truck. It's nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I had a Civic and then an Accord, and I've gone 14 years now, never had to take a car to the shop the whole time. I don't even know a guy who runs a shop. I don't need to.
I don't even know shop guys.
I don't even know if there's shops here in Nashville. I haven't even seen any of them. I got no clue.
All right, y'all. Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it around. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to GodHatesFeds.com. Visit the button that says Join GML. And that button will take you to joingml.com, where you can be part of the Fed Haters Club. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. If you do all of that, we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning. Libertas.